Hello everyone, welcome to a new lecture. In this video we are going to talk about wind erosion. We have talked about erosion in previous lectures. Erosion is just removal of rock materials from one location to another. Wind is a significant erosional agent in arid areas due to lack of vegetation or little vegetation and little water in arid areas. The rock materials that are broken down by weathering can be removed very easily. They require very little energy. That's why wind is a significant erosional agent in arid areas. However, wind comes after water. Water is the most significant erosional agent, and then it comes wind. But wind, unlike water, water needs streams to flow in and do erosion. However, wind can cover a large area without needing a stream. So how many types of erosions do we have that are due to winds, or what types of erosions are going on in arid areas? Well, we have several types. We have deflation, we have ventifacts, and we have yardangs. So let's look at each of these in more detail. The first type of erosion that is due to wind is called deflation. So what is deflation? Well, deflation is lifting and removal of silt and sand by wind. So when you have silt and sand on the floor of arid areas, the removal and lifting of these sand and silt by wind is called deflation. As you can see in this illustration, when we have silt and sand on the floor and wind comes and removes this silt and sand, this is called deflation. We have two kinds of deflation. We have blowouts and we have desert pavements. The first one, blowouts. Blowouts is shallow depression in the ground due to deflation. If you have a shallow depression in arid area that is due to wind, this is called blowouts. As you can see in this picture, basically it's just a hole in the ground that is due to removal of material due to wind. So you have an area that is filled with sediment. Slowly by the act of wind, some of the material will be removed and it creates a huge hole in the ground that is called blowouts, as you can see in this illustration. However, desert pavement is removal of silt and sand by deflation, exposing and creating a layer of pebble and cobbles that is called desert pavement. As you can see in this illustration, basically when you have big and small rocks that are mixed with sand, when you have wind that removes the sand, you'll be left with the pebbles and the rocks that creates a pavement on the desert floor. That is basically desert pavement. However, this explanation that I made, or this illustration that I've made right here, does not explain all the desert pavements that exist in the world. There's another explanation for desert pavement, and that is basically when you have water that carries sand and silt, basically this water creeps down the pebbles and the big and small rocks that you have and basically goes underneath and it creates something like that. So the first picture here is this. You have big and small rocks, you have pebbles, and underneath you have sand. By the help of water, the sand will mix with the water and it trickles down underneath and it creates something like that. Basically, you will have all the pavement above and you have a layer of sand underneath. This is another explanation for desert pavement. Either you have that, or you have this explanation of desert pavement, which is basically you have pebbles and rocks mixed with sand. When you have wind removing all the sand, you will be left with something like this that is just rocks and pebbles on top of sand. This is a picture of desert pavement. As you can see, you have a lot of rocks, you have a lot of pebbles. Underneath you have the sand. When you have wind blowing on this surface, all the sand will be removed since they require little energy to be moved, and you'll be left with the big and small rocks and the pebbles to create a desert pavement. Okay, another structure that is created by wind erosion is ventifacts. Ventifacts are created by abrasion, which means scraping. Basically, wind-blown sand cuts and polishes rocks, creating ventifacts. As you can see, these are pictures of ventifact. They are made out of scrapping of wind-blown sand that rubs against other big structures and creates these polished figures that are called ventifacts. Finally, yardangs. Yardangs is a wind sculpted landform that is oriented parallel to the prevailing wind. As you can see in this picture, this is a picture of yardangs, and you can guess that the wind was in this way. Yardangs are parallel to the prevailing wind. However, ventifacts are not parallel to the prevailing wind. However, they are made out of scrapping of wind-blown sand that cuts and polishes rocks. And with this, we come to the end of our lecture. To recap,